Kind of interesting that you use memory tonight to capture, the identity function, really. But it just occurred to me that really it can be seen as kind of a sleep and a forgetting. Like, I can't remember.
And a sleep and a forgetting.
A sleep and a forgetting.
Yeah.
So how can it be a memory and a sleep and a forgetting?
That's exactly it. Because the sleep and the forgetting is still embedded in your unconscious. See, most people, when they come to see me, they don't even know what they want. And when I ask them what it is they fear or what it is they love, they take a long time. So I go into their unconscious, and then they find out there's a Pandora's box that opens up. There's so much there. See, it's all unconscious.
So it's like a density.
It's a density, yes. It's a sleep and a forgetting. Memory is a sleep and a forgetting, because I've known people, men and women, who have been raped, maybe, okay, or something violated, but it was so horrendous that they forgot all about it until something triggered it. Some experience or something triggered that memory. So it could be very deep. And the emotions that are felt in the body. You see, sometimes in the body they can be awakened. One time there was a woman, and she was very, very tense, and her shoulders were so tense, and she was like this. This is a couple of years ago. She was really tense, and as she talked to me, I knew that she wasn't telling me the truth, because she was so anxious, she was so nervous, and she wanted to appear good, knowing how to answer my questions. So therefore I went behind her and I touched her shoulder. I said, just relax, just be, And I touched her shoulders and I massaged her, and all of a sudden she started to cry. And she cried and she cried and she cried non-stop. And it was all held in there. You see? And it was just, it wasn't really a massage, it was just, I said, it's okay, just relax, you see? Just be yourself, there's no wrong or right answer here. And this crying came out from the sleep and the forgetting. Okay, but the memory is there. The unconscious covers most of what we have forgotten and is now asleep. But that doesn't mean it doesn't affect us. And you will find that when people act, they act unconsciously.
Well, I think what I meant by, what came to me when sleep, we're in a sleep and forgetting as human beings, is that it's kind of a memory beyond memory. And that's why this all is so familiar.
Yeah.
Oneness and
yes. But this is not a memory. You see, it's more than a memory. See who we are.
But can't you call it? So, I don't want to argue words.
Yeah.
Can't you call it remembering?
Yes.
In a way.
Yeah, you can call it a remembering. You're remembering who you are.
It's like beyond memory.
It's beyond memory, but the word remembering is beautiful. Remember. Yeah. As a matter of fact, if you become very silent, you become very quiet, and you go into that stillness, there's a moment when you remember who you are.
And that's why we call this
I don't call it remembering, I call it recognition. Okay? To recognize means to cognize that which you've already known. But re-cognize, in other words, to see it again. You see what I mean? When people awaken, this is one thing they all say, but I've known this all my life. That's what they say, you see? Because there's nothing new. It's a remembering or a recognition. That's why I repeat that word recognition often, because it's a cognition being recognized. Okay? Memory is, and there's a very subtle difference. Memory is what has happened as a movement of energy. A remembering is the very nature of is. You've always been. You might have had many expressions of life. You see? So therefore in your stillness you recognize who you are. You just know it. Right now, if we were to be very, very still right now, and look at Burt not as a person, as a teacher, because he's nothing, but see it as an animated protoplasm in which your own heart is speaking. Okay? Really look at it that way. And what happens is you find what he's saying is what my heart already knows. Do you understand? That's called a recognition. Okay?
But to think that you're someone who's remembering, that's the mistake.
That's the quote, yeah.
Well,
that's the error.
The error.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. If you think that you're the one who's remembering, then you lose it. Somewhere we have an experience and we lose it. Okay? But if you realize what you're remembering is who you are, just like the wave all of a sudden remembers, it is the ocean. It's always been the ocean. You see? So, yeah. Okay. Why do we believe in a process of growth when it's all here and now? Already we've covered it, but we can say it in our own words. We all believe in a process of growth, right? We all believe we have to go through a process. You know, I've had people who have been doing this kind of work for 20 years, and they're still so-called not awakened. You see? Why? Why does it take so long?
Well, it appears to me that I know more now than I did 20 years ago.
Aha.
It seems that way.
It seems that way, doesn't it?
You know,
But as you go back when you were a child, really young, isn't there a part of you that says, but you know, when I was very, very young, I almost knew this, but I didn't know that I knew it, I didn't recognize it? Isn't there a part of you that kind of remembers that? See, when we are 1 or 2 years old, you know, we don't have an ego yet. It starts building about 3 years of age or so, when we say, this is mine. But there's no ego. Sometimes we're not even in touch with the body as yet. That's why in the beginning we bump into things, you see. And there is that moment when we just see life in a different way. We're not conscious, we're not self-conscious yet. So there is that aware space. And then we lose it. The more immersed in the world, the more we immersed ourselves in remembering a particular experience, then of course we think we are that experience. And we become experiencer. With the moment when you become an experiencer, you're caught now. You're caught in the dream called memory. You see? That doesn't mean it didn't happen, but you make it so real that you begin to live it. Now most people, if they have had a traumatic experience, for example, and I've had that in my sessions, they've had a traumatic experience 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, when they were children, they still live it now. In reaction, in thinking, in fear of rejection, in paranoia, it's still there. You see, because it knows no time. And that's the funny thing about memory, is that memory comes out as an emotion in the body. It's locked in the body. You see? And there's a sleep and a forgetting of what's happened, but you still react. You still react and you still act as if it is happening now. Hate, revenge, resentment can stay for a whole lifetime if we do not wake up. See, because waking up means no longer attachment to memory. And the reason you don't remain attached is when you begin to see that memory is just memory. It's no good or bad. It's your mind that made it good or bad. It's just happened what happened because it's what happened. We go through experiences in life. Some bad, some good, but those are experiences. And ultimately, when we talk about oneness, and that's what we're focusing on this evening, everything is one. Everything is one. Take the most horrendous fear you've ever experienced, and take the greatest love you've ever experienced, and then be still. Become still with the fear. And you'll find, if you allow it in your body, if you allow it totally, and be centered in it, it comes out the same as that love. See, emptiness is fullness. Why? Because being, or the is, has no opposite.